All right, guys, here we're talking about the movie Fire in the Sky. 1993's Fire in the Sky. Lee, had you seen it before?
So I think sometimes parents see movie trailers and they're scared, so they tell their kids, there's no way you're seeing that, you're gonna have nightmares. Because that's what happened to me here. And then I also forgot to ever go back and watch it.
Okay.
Because I remember something I was a little kid and I was like, I like aliens, I want to see this movie, and they were like, you're not allowed. It's gonna scare you.
You probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as a child. This is like a real movie with like sequences of like.
I was gonna say I didn't super enjoy it as an adult. I think it's good, but it's a movie-ass movie, and you know, kind of left me being like, all right. Like it's like the premiere of a TV show almost. It was like, I don't know what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah. No, it's always fun to see these based on true story like movies, and
completely a lie.
Well, the person involved in this does say it wasn't like that at all.
No, one guy once said one thing, and they're like, great, we're going to take that and make an entire story, and it's all fake out of it.
He wrote a book called like Fire in the Sky, What Really Happened.
Yeah, more like Warm in the Top Shelf.
The thing to walk away with is like everyone involved in this alien abduction story did take lie detector tests, and that's super cool. They all passed.
Hey, there we go.
But yeah, so this is definitely like an iconic movie, so if you've seen it or don't care, follow us over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
He didn't say if you liked the movie.
That was okay.
We're on the same page.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of Fire in the Sky. Lee, let me hear some spoiler-filled thoughts.
I like it, but I like boring movies. And this is a boring movie, kind of.
It's a slow burn. I won't say like boring wouldn't be the word I would choose. It's definitely not for... That's when I'm
trying to connect with the kids that hate everything.
Well, I thought a kid wouldn't like it, and why I said it wasn't that big of a miss for you to not watch it as a child, because I think because it's slow and like the alien stuff is very spaced out, that you wouldn't really connect with it.
Ironically, I liked boring movies more. I used to, you know, we've done the Puppet Masters.
Yeah.
I remember A Civil Action. I remember various like, ooh, I love a nice legal drama or a nice sci-fi like thriller. Naturally. Like, I love a boring movie, so I think I would have liked it as a kid.
Okay.
But now that my brain's been destroyed, I'm like, I don't know, man.
I need TikTok.
Because it doesn't. Yeah, I need instant. Come on, my biological clock is ticking like this, and it needs aliens now, not an hour from now. What did I sign up for?
My biological clock is ticking like this.
I'm not even complaining about that. I just think like, especially because like it doesn't end, it just stops.
Yeah.
It's hard to because like, you know, sci-fi thrillers and like legal, like most of them end with text that says like everyone who didn't die kept living, I guess, and you're like, okay, fine. But this was like more egregious to me, where the movie keeps going a little and then it just stops, and I'm like, this is not
Judging
good.
by how much they changed the man's actual encounter with the aliens in the movie, I wonder if that's fudged too. I didn't look too much into his actual life, but for me, and it's always weird to critique something that's based on a true story and be like, that part sucked, you should cut that part out, if it did actually happen. But him connecting with this guy, like, I heard you moved out here. I'm like, he lives in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, whatever you did, it's okay. Understand? It's cool.
What address did you... I heard he lives at, like, blah, 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 and he's close enough that you could actually go and find him.
The whole time skip is ill-conceived. And
he could have ended... Period.
It just seems to me that this whole thing is a very well-planned and executed hoax.
Hoax?
Well, I think that they were boxed into a corner where, okay, let's cut that and then end here. Well, that isn't good. We'll cut that and end here. And then the whole movie unravels and there's nothing to watch or something. I don't know the situation you're in where they're like, you know, because it is based on a true story, you can't bring it to any sort of conclusion, because people would have been like, wait, is that guy, you know, did he go back to space? Is he the ambassador to Earth? And it's like, well, no, obviously that's, because like, you know, there can't be a like, you know, conclusive end to a fucking fake alien abduction story, right?
Yeah.
What are they gonna be like? Oh, he's didn't get abducted again.
I think
I don't know.
I would have probably a little bit before this time, but done a thing where like when the two cops are talking and he's like, "You're gonna come back all the way from Montana? If I got to, or whatever."
All the way from Montana.
From the friggin' North Pole, if I have to. I'll see you then, Sheriff.
it would have like
right.
ended there, and then it would have done the thing where like the credits start and it shows a picture of like each person and tells you like what they're doing.
Like Animal House.
And yeah, exactly like Animal House. And they'd be like,
Yes.
they reconnected after blah, blah, blah. He's still married to his sister 30 years later. They got 6 kids. And then like you would end it and it would show like the group of them on like the day of the logging trip or whatever. And it would say like, 20 years later, they did another test and they all still passed and blah, 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 like something like that.
Yeah, it needed to be more of like a metaphor and stuff. We haven't talked about the plot of the movie at all, which we won't. Because instead I'm just going to say like, okay, like I like things to be about things and stuff. So, because like aliens aren't real, right? So, you know, we can't talk about that. So
I think in all likelihood they are.
No, yes, obviously life would exist somewhere else, but this didn't happen, so whatever.
I don't know. They passed primitive lie detector tests.
Lie detectors are pseudoscience and not reliable at all.
I definitely would agree with that. But the
yes.
idea that 7 people passed the same
unreliable pseudoscience? Yeah, what do you mean?
I feel like it's a 50-50 that just by nature somebody should have failed.
I think those devices are very dangerous, man. That machine says you lied. It don't matter if you told the truth. You lied.
It was inconclusive the first time. What do you mean? Of course.
Well, no, in the little thing at the end, it says they all took it 7 years later and they all passed.
Yes, but like odds are good, and they're so good that it literally happened, and then they took it again and they passed. So like, just like the SATs, you know, if you keep taking a test, you get better at it. The point is, it seems to be about like trauma. And in the beginning, Travis is like the dreamer.
You're a dreamer. You're not ready for marriage.
And Mike is like the real down-to-earth family man.
Ooh, can I have some French toast?
Sure.
I can have some?
I got some for you right here.
Then a horrible trauma visits their life, and like volleyball, they rotate.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch. You hadn't have gotten out of the truck in the first place. None of this would have happened.
And Travis becomes the down-to-earth family man, and Mike becomes destroyed.
How's my girl?
Okay, you gotta go to work.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
He lives alone, you know, in the woods and looks like Willie Nelson now. And then it's like, okay, see ya. And I'm like, this is not I'm not like, oh, hey, I'm so inspired by this. It tore these people's lives apart. But it isn't even about like, okay, fuck aliens. It's about how people tear lives apart. Because the movie isn't about that either. It doesn't really get into that. There's like a few scenes in the middle, but then there's like an hour after that where I'm like, well, what? Structurally, I think it's hopelessly flawed.
If you do just like go along with it, like these people did suffer this thing that they didn't really plan. Like, yes, the guy got out of the truck. That was kind of dumb.
My God.
Yeah,
But, you know, through no
yeah.
fault of their own, this thing happened upon them. And it's weird to watch this, like, you know, a country town where everyone kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
Just go instantly with, they're murderers, they killed this guy, blah, 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 blah. You're like, okay.
What the heck's that lowlife Buck Morton staring at?
He keeps looking over here. Mike, this town's gone nuts.
Like, that type of stuff. Anytime you're accused of something that you didn't do, I'm like, oh, that's the true horror. Like, oh, you can't prove you didn't.
Like, I feel like I got kind of cheated out of that though. Like, they didn't go deep enough in a way. Like, the movie almost felt rushed to me, even though it's so long. It feels weird.
Yeah, it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like an hour 40 something.
Yeah, they
crazy.
found the friend a little soon, maybe. Like,
Okay.
Because it was 5 days.
Mike. 5 days, man. It's been 5 days.
It might have been more interesting if it was like a month.
Well,
like they're in jail. Like, we found him.
No, or even like screen time, where like you end up with something weird, where like, because like when they find him and when so like there's a conversation where they say they were gonna lynch us. Can you believe it?
They thought that we had killed you, man. They were ready to lynch us. Can you imagine that? These jerks actually thought we killed you.
And I was like, I can't believe it, because it didn't get that, like there was like one tense scene or something.
Jack? Larry? Mrs. Pratt? What are you doing?
And then, right, like yeah, someone should have like had a scuffle with the cops and been like injured or something.
And that would have been what, Dallas or whatever his name was.
The prick, right?
Yeah,
like there should have been more drama so that you do feel that like, oh, see, like there was no scene of like, see, Mabel, you hate, like it feels so centered on the group that everything has to happen in that group, and that's why the end is just like, oh shucks, Bill, I guess we're friends, all right.
I don't think they like me.
And you're like, what the fucking what?
Yeah.
Also, I thought that was gonna be his like third daughter. When he crawls up, he's like, sorry, pal, it's for love. We know, way in the beginning now.
Love awaits me.
He crawls up with a gift past the guy's house to like the other window, and I assume we're gonna see like a 12-year-old girl, and I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm like, who is this woman that lives in their house? It was a very confusing period of the movie for me. And I apologize, but yes.
So let's pose a question here.
Ooh.
So like Travis gets out of the car and like he walks into this strange fire in the sky business. He's looking up.
You might call it a fire in the sky.
Travis! Travis! You son of a bitch!
The opposite of smoke on the water.
The dialectic.
So are they wrong for leaving him?
No, everything's chaos and nightmare. Who cares? What do you mean?
And
That's whatever.
He goes back. Is it all like, for me, driving like the mile or whatever through the woods.
They go back almost
and then
immediately.
Pushing everyone like, okay, you guys get out of the car. Like, are you getting out of the car?
Go, man. You gotta go. Get out. It'll be all right. You stay by the road.
So like, it's like two questions. Would you leave him in the first place? And then would you ever get out of the car in the woods with whatever the fuck that was going on?
Yeah. Like, so like a part of my confusion in a lot of dramas is I don't read situations the same way as other people. So I was just like, what? No, like never do anything ever if you want to be smart, but no one is smart. Everyone is stupid. So yeah, I don't know. Like, no, you shouldn't get out of the car. You shouldn't go logging with your buddies without proper equipment in like a random part of the woods somewhere. Like, you shouldn't do any of these things. This is all terrible.
They had the proper equipment for the time.
They're just fucking weirdos in the woods. Like, who's even taking the wood out? Did they just leave the wood for some other crew? What's happening?
I think they're just clearing. I don't think they were doing anything else.
You could sell wood.
It might even have been for fire purposes. I'm not sure what the job itself was. They may have said...
Are you saying that they want to put a fire in the sky? Really makes you think.
Yeah.
No. So like, no, you shouldn't go investigate something weird. But that's how every movie starts.
Yeah.
And no, you shouldn't like abandon your friend. But it was really scary. And they came like
he does get zapped like into the air.
Yeah, and they came like right back. Like, I wouldn't hold a grudge in either case. I think everybody's fine. And they make that a whole pivot point of the movie.
Yeah.
Where the one guy's
that
like,
ends the friendship.
Yeah, where he's like, well, you shouldn't get out of the car anyway. And then later he comes back and he's like, well, I shouldn't have got out of the car. And then, so like, Robert Patrick is a fucking actor.
I searched the woods, but he wasn't. There was nothing.
Yeah, and I want to make that clear too as part of this, because I was like, oh, it's Terminator, and then I'm like, he's acting though, he's good, he's a good actor. I can't think of anything else I've ever seen him in, so I didn't know that he was such a good actor. But he winces when the other guy says, well, I shouldn't have got out of the car.
Hell, it was all my fault, Mike. I never should have got out of the truck.
Don't be ridiculous.
Because he's internalizing the accusation from whatever 5 years ago, whatever it was, and Robert Patrick winces like, oh yeah, like you've reminded me that I shouldn't have even said that bullshit to you. I'm so sorry.
It's true though.
It's such a great.
But it did take him years to realize that.
Because pig-headed lumberjack men can't just have a conversation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how those years went by with the wedding, the kids, oh, she's in labor for the third time. Are you gonna come? Yeah. Like, what the fuck happened during this time? And there's no card that says how many years later it is, right? We just have to go by those kids. Yeah. It's like 4 years, 5, yeah, 4 or 5. It's crazy. I don't know, man.
Been a long time. What is it, 2 years?
It's 2.5.
It was crazy when they were like out there having their weird like look at my penis chainsaw fight thing.
Yeah.
Like
that's something too.
That's super dangerous.
Yeah.
And crazy that like that doesn't cause a bigger stir. And then how the cops even know about that? Why would you ever bring that up in the thing? Like, it's not like they're covering for some crazy thing. All of them saw the same thing. They know it was aliens. Yeah. So why even add a tidbit of Dallas could have done it?
You had the biggest axe to grind with Travis. What was that whole thing with that chainsaw?
I was just having some fun.
Because they know he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, I don't know what I saw.
And that kid is like so traumatized. I'm like, well, cool, his first alien experience being E.T., he was like, the aliens are good. And now he's like, oh God, they're hurting my friend.
Who?
The youngest kid who's like 17 or whatever.
Oh, that's
Elliot?
The haircut guy? Yeah.
And what about you, son?
Me?
Yeah, what'd you see?
I was too busy looking at Peter Berg. Peter Berg is in this, kids. The director of Hancock himself, Peter Berg.
And I don't steal a camera either, which is probably the most expensive piece of equipment on a film set. One of them, certainly, depending on the lens package. How's that?
I forgot. I saw that dude's face, and I was like, "Who the fucker? I know you. Used to be in movies." And then I look him up, and I'm like, "Oh, he switched to being a director." That's why I'm like, "What happened to him? Did his face fall off? Is he dead?" No, he's mostly. Well, that happens sometimes. You stop acting, your face falls off. But he just became a director instead. Also, Battleship, some other stuff.
Rihanna.
Peter Berg, baby.
But we tried to create something that felt relatable to a human.
I'm here to ask the real questions now. So our boy rides through on the motorcycle. He like hops up onto the sidewalk, and there's like some girl who works at the bakery, steals donuts from her mom.
Kathy, what are you doing? Nothing, Mom.
Hangs him out. He like fink, and then drives and gives those to his future wife.
Breakfast in bed.
Thank you.
And I was like, what is his donut scenario here?
Wait a minute. What the fuck? I forgot all about that. That's a different girl.
Yeah.
That's not his fiance.
No.
That's not.
And it's like a very young girl. Where I was like, what is his relationship with this girl?
Wait a minute. Why is that? This movie sucks.
Well, I think it's to show like, oh, he's fun and cool and people like him.
Yeah.
But it struck as a weird thing where like you're like, oh, that's gonna be like his girlfriend. Oh,
No,
I guess it's like a scenario where back in the day you could date people that were 5. Like I don't know what that is.
That's some sort of weird brain aneurysm thing. That makes no sense. That's like a script artifact or something. They take you on this journey, like, okay, this is filmmaking, folks. Filmmaking 102, but like,
advanced.
It feels like this motherfucker, like, literally was like, you want to get married? I want to start a business. I have dreams. Fire in the sky.
MT Motors, serving all of Navajo County. Harleys, Nortons, Yamahas, you name it.
Like, it feels like everything happened on like the same day.
Yeah.
It's so corny and stupid. And yes, that moment of like, got the donuts. Hey, what's going on? Oh, extra, going through the town. It's so weird. Yes.
Yeah, the weird, like, there was a thing that stood out to me, and I don't know if it's bad filmmaking or just a little weird, but like they're in the truck like right after that, and Dallas is like, you got any donuts?
Guys got any donuts up there?
Well, we did, Dallas, but we ate them all.
And I'm like,
We just ate them all.
Why even bring up donuts? There were donuts. You have no idea about that. Like, does he usually bring them? I don't know. It just said a weird thing.
This movie stinks. I take it back. It's not good.
Like acting wise too, one that stood out to me was like right after they agree to take the lie detector test, and like they leave, they're gonna come back tomorrow, I think, for it. Dallas shoots this look, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
A lie detector killed my father. What do you mean? Where he's nervous. He's like, I don't want to do this shit, right? He's like, I have a record, right? He's that guy. He's the dirtbag.
Yeah, he's the hippie looking one who's like, I'm out meditating in my glasses, shirtless or whatever the fuck he does, like in front of the truck, eating an apple. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay, first, filmmaking. The lie detector is awesome because it cuts to the question and then it cuts back to like a different guy.
Yeah.
That's filmmaking. That's 101.
That's 101.
That's
yeah.
easy. That's easy.
Did you believe Travis was killed by the red light?
How do I know? Just know that I didn't kill him.
The intro, right, is just.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just credits. Is ever what we're gonna talk about?
Like I think intermittently in the credits, or as soon as the credits end, it does a thing where like there's a train passing and it makes it look like aliens are coming.
Okay, so like I think it's the truck, and like it's like I think it's just like a lockdown shot for the whole intro credits, whatever it is, 30 seconds a minute, and then there's this growing orange light where you're like, that's Ma! It's the fire in the sky! I see it! But no, it's just the headlights of the truck.
Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah, and the way that it starts like in the middle of everything, where you just follow these like sketchy dirtbags to a bar where they sit there and they go, come on, make the call. All right, man, I will. And like everyone looks at them when they come in like, what's up with you?
Yeah.
What's going on? Or whatever. It's nice in the middle of everything. Shit, I love that when we just get me going.
Yeah.
Because imagine if it had started with them measuring their chainsaws. You'd be like, who are these pricks, right? You have to hit me to make me want to know who these pricks are, and then go back in time. It's nice, little zoop, you know?
Yeah. So aliens take our boy, and days later, he comes back. He's dropped off in potentially the middle of nowhere. And he walks until he finds a fucking phone, and he can't hold conversation. He can't lights up, people. Oh, I'm so scared. I'm naked. It's raining. Whatever. But he can make a collect phone call. It just seems like the opposite of what
1-800-COLLECT. Everyone remembers that.
Not at the time.
I'd like to make a collect call.
Hey, lady! Use your hand!
They could suck your brain out and you would still remember how to make a collect. No, he probably talked to an operator at that time or something. You have to remember the guy's phone number, but yeah, it's a whole thing.
It just seemed, I think then you would have remembered phone calls.
Delta Sierra Charlie, 1417.
This is also his best friend, so
so you probably
calls him a lot.
Burned into your mind.
But it just felt so weird where I'm like, he is an incoherent, blabbering idiot, but he was able to, all right. Oh, okay, I like to play the collect call.
Carry the
thank
two.
You. And then he goes,
Mike, help me!
Mike! Travis, help me.
And I'm like, is he on the ship? Is he calling from the spaceship?
The doctor, I want to check that doctor's credentials. He's like, oh, he hasn't eaten or drank for 5 days. I'm like, you can't do that.
Did you see how thirsty he was?
Water! Somebody get him some water!
Hey man, it's gonna be okay.
He did drink from the tap.
That's it. Listen, okay, filmmaking. He's drinking from the tap and his eye moves around in this creepy looking way. Yeah. And then later he's in the alien stuff and it's all about his eye and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But phones, real quick, phones. We love phones. It's a rotary payphone, and I think he's gonna call 911, but he just goes and but the whole thing moves, and I don't know. I didn't look. I think the 9 is the farthest digit, so I think he's about to do 911, but you just see him do the 9 in the bar, and I was like, ooh. And then I was like, do Zoomers even know what this thing on the wall is? That's amazing. We never had a phone like that, I assume, but that's crazy to put it in a movie and go, oh, a thing. No one would even know what is he doing with that thing. I know that they learn about it in history class, but I'm still telling you.
Isn't it wild that things like that will be in history class?
It's like an abacus, though. You'd be like, well, I understand you use that for counting, but you wouldn't know tick 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 what he's doing.
But things are always 10 years behind in the book. I remember in our book it was digital technology, and it's a cell phone attached to a backpack.
Or it's the telegraph is the new exciting technology. I like little touches like that though in the thing where it cuts away, or you get a nice little blip blop or whatever. Yeah. The part you're talking about though, when he makes the call, when they find him and he's huddled up next to the ice machine and he's doing all of his stuff. I liked this, and I thought what was happening was they were doing everything exactly wrong to give us this glorious ambiguity of not knowing what's true and what's not true and all that stuff. Because he instantly gets interviewed by the UFO creeps.
Yeah.
He knows this stuff.
Hey, it's a wise thing you called. This is a very critical time. Hey, come on in here, get a picture.
And he kept that card? That seems unlikely.
I think, in my mind, this was a 10 out of 10 movie where, parts of his story were just, things that the UFO guy accidentally fed him, in the questions, and it becomes this weird thing where no one knows what's true anymore, and some of the guys question, you were there, you saw it. I don't know what I saw, Bill, and it becomes this big, awesome thing, but then none of that happens. There's no one even toys with that. It's very removed from the actual events in a very interesting way. I did not like it.
Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food? Injection?
All right, that's enough, mister.
How many of them were there? Oh, did they experiment on you? These are leading questions that he would be like, well, Harlan Williams would be like, they did experiment on me. Right, that guy, yeah.
I do love the look of the aliens. They're old man babies. They have a weird look to them.
Oh yes, that nails it.
Formed, but whatever.
Yeah.
The scene where he's floating through those tubes and finding other people that have been kidnapped. Or whatever, and died in there.
Oh.
I don't even know how they filmed that shit. It's really good.
Fuck The Matrix. This was like The Matrix in real life. that's how, waking up in a pod surrounded by pods and you don't understand what's going on. Like, that was, and yeah, it's so visceral. It's like Aliens or like those older movies where like space is very dark and wet and there's like spotlights and all this creepy shit. But yeah, when he pops into the other pod and there's sacks, they're like sacks in pods. It's like a weird membrane, but it has little like circuits drawn on it. So it makes it look like, oh God, what is their technology based on goop? Is it all goop-based technology? And then it is, because they shove goop in his mouth and they put goop in his eyes and there's drilling in his head. It's.
I think it's like amniotic fluid.
It's so
or
good.
something.
Yes. Well, yeah. But it's awesome.
But and then like the torturous like test of his eyes and even when he comes back, like the weird markings he has, like it's a thing where you're like, yeah, okay, that's very strange and specific.
They cut directly from that terrifying long needle to him in like the, like waking up or coming out of his stupor or hypnosis or whatever, and you clearly see the big wound in the corner of his eye, and you're like, oh God, that's right, that's how he got that. Fuck. Yeah. I think that was either in the trailer or it was like an iconic thing. The shot from above where his mouth and the tubes and the big thing is coming, all those things are happening, and the aliens have this great look. They're puppets, right? But like they have a great look of like, I don't care, you're just like a test subject.
Yeah, like how we would feel like a rat.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Because like it's all low gravity, right?
Yeah.
And the aliens are these like little guys. But when they grab him by his foot and like pull him or whatever,
they're beastly strong.
They're like running with him. And you're like, okay, it's low gravity. How does their like structure work or whatever? And then I had the same thoughts of like when like we take like a python, not you or I, but humans take like a python and they use like the pole with the thing at the end and they get him just right. The snake's like, how is this happening? What's going on? Like getting pulled, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And this felt like that. And also, more ambiguity stuff. I think it's brilliant how that then kind of mirrors again, but in reverse, when he's at the hospital getting pulled on the gurney, right?
Yeah.
They didn't cut to it the second time, but they show you more explicitly why he was mixing up the memories in his head the first time.
It's almost like a Wizard of Oz thing where he's cutting
thing.
These memories of the same thing happening. And you could see that, be like, oh, is this where the memory came from? But no.
That's why I was like, oh, this is brilliant, how we're going to lead to this thing of like, we don't know what's true anymore, but they just drop it. Which maybe that is brilliant. Maybe I've convinced myself. I don't know.
I think there could have been things to do there.
Spoon feed me movie,
because
please.
Again, it's not. It's weird because it's based on real events, but it's also bastardized so much from them that you can't really use it as an excuse of like, oh, well, we did that because that's how it happened. Because you are just caring about making a entertaining movie, and it's weird some of the choices they made in that I think, well, if you didn't care about this being exactly what that guy told you, because they said his story sounded too much like movies that have been made or whatever, which also for a movie where you're trying to debunk somebody's alien experience to say, oh, that's a lot like that Alien movie that came out recently and is very popular, is a little on the nose.
That's an issue. No, a lot of the stuff too, it says, because, okay, that's even funnier to think of it that way. First I was going to say, yeah, like a lot of stuff is like, it's based on a true ghost story, but it has some other shit from other ghost stories that are...
Yeah, that people at home know and recognize, so we put that in there.
And it's like, well, are those also true stories? It's like, we didn't check those. We just heard a thing. My cousin's friend's nephew's aunt's friend from school said she saw a ghost like that, so that's in the movie now. But now, with alien abduction, there's that other layer you were hinting at, where the people who are giving you the true story are also doing that.
Yeah.
They saw invaders from Mars, and they had a dream the night before, and it's in their head now. Or so. Yeah. So it's a collaborative story writing process, basically.
And it's a horrifying experience, like what this character went through.
No, it's
but that isn't what the guy went through. So it takes away from it.
I don't care all about it being true. I've said like the filmmaking is good. The alien stuff's really good too. That all looks really good to me. I thought it was really effective. There's the one scene where the one alien like turns and looks at him or something. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is so creepy. This is great.
When the alien in the suit is coming at him as he's inspecting a suit. I was like, oh shit, this is good stuff.
Oh, because that's another one where it's like way in the back, like out of focus maybe, and the little head turns like, oh no! Yeah, I love that.
And like it's used very sparingly. Like in this movie, it's like an hour and 50 minutes. Like aliens are like 5 minutes, maybe, or like even in space is like 5 minutes, maybe 6. And I think that it's like their exact right amount because everything that's on screen is like it's like, oh, that's really good. And like if you were to try to make more of that, there'd be a drop off. Like there's only so much you can do. Your budget has to go towards what it is. And I think that like that was nice. And the parts that are drama on Earth are good too. I just think that it could have been tightened a little bit and dropped off. Because if you're already not making a true story, just make a really entertaining story. Like I hate the based on a true story because it's like, yes, there were 3 men in Arkansas. Based on a true story. Like, you don't need much to be based on a true story,
Yeah, because being based on a well, so I don't know why the structure is, in my opinion, hopelessly flawed. But I assume it's in service of that, like, well, we can't make shit up. That they'll yell at us, and it's like, what? No, like,
it's weird. It was 7 guys, and they made it 6. So like, that'd be too many people to follow. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing, because like, some of them don't talk at all.
And there's a scene in the truck where there's like, I remember writing in my notes, there's 6 dudes in a little pickup truck. Like, it has a nice vibe of like, too many dudes in that truck. Where was the 7th dude? It's like
I imagine they would. A lot of them would have read in the back of the bed.
In the actual bed. I was gonna say it's like John dies at the end, where they go like, "Oh, your story doesn't make sense. No one's gonna get that reference. It's wonderful."
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
When the tree falls, almost hits the guy, and he goes, "Timber,
timber." They suck. They're the worst.
Wide load now.
It's a movie-ass movie. It's a real movie.
It's a film, I'd say.
Okay, there you go. Could have saved some time and just said this is a film.
Yeah.
As opposed to a flick at the other end of the spectrum. Movie's right in the middle. But I for that reason partially, right? Whether it's the true story or whether it's something else, I'm just kind of like whatever. Didn't miss much on this one, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not.
The alien scenes are really good.
They are very good.
You should
that's
watch
what I was going to
those.
say is that I wouldn't rate it tremendously high as like, oh, yeah, I got to see this again. But I would say you have to see it once.
I agree.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition.